All right, we're here today with um, Warren and Joe. And Warren, you're from Kentucky Working Dogs, and Joe from Kilo Niner Dog Club.
Yes.
You guys want to give a little introduction of who you are, what you do?
Okay. I'm Warren Diffie. I'm with Kentucky Working Dogs. Joe is also with us, but he'll talk about his. I've been training dogs for 20 years. I started out with Chris Saunders in New Mexico. And then when I moved here in Kentucky in 2003, trained with some other people. And then now me and Joe are together training.
Right on.
So Warren has been the one to help me get everything going with my training aspect. I run Kilo Niner Dog Club. I'm the head trainer, and Warren helps assist me with training and everything. We do obedience, tracking, personal protection work, and then literally go over everything else that has to do with dogs, whether it's nutrition. We have a lady that'll come out and teach first aid classes. We're big advocates of raw feeding, so that's what our nutrition class consists of. Our dogs are pets. First off, that's the biggest thing that we push. We want people to be active with their pets, and that's been what Warren's kind of beat into my head as well. I've been training dogs for almost 10 years now, and Kilo Niner, Warren helped me get that opened up back in late 2014. So, and then it's transpired into, everything that we do now with the vehicle work, gunfire work, rappelling with dogs, first aid classes, swimming, literally anything you can think of, whether you're wanting to be clearing out your home with your dog, you're wanting to do search and rescue, or whatever, literally whatever the needs are. We have some law enforcement, and we've worked with some military guys, but that's not our big go-to is the pet advocates and helping them, have this work, teaching their dog to be a working dog, but also a pet.
All right, well, cool. Now, is this your classes are ongoing training, or do you have like specific block classes, like you go for so many days, so many weeks?
So we're big advocates of the ongoing student. Um, Personal protection work and tracking, the sky's the limit. There's literally so many things where you can continue to advance the dog. Um, our obedience is functional. That's the biggest thing with our obedience. So you do get to a certain point with obedience, but you get to a point of where it's maintenance, if that makes sense. That's what you really want. So you start working your obedience end of, I guess, making it more advanced by the personal protection aspect of it, and the control and the stability. And then you're starting to use your obedience with your tracking, your search and rescue stuff, and you're just using it to communicate with the dog. That's literally it, because you're going to be a team. So the better your obedience is, that's your foundation with everything. You're like, if you only do tracking, you only do protection work with the dogs, if you have crap obedience, everything else will literally just fall apart. And Warren can touch some more about how important obedience and everything is.
Right. Hey, well, cool. Um, we might come back to that too. I think a couple things that we wanted to talk about today was, you mentioned the canine first aid, which I don't think a lot of people put that into their planning. They may have a little kit for themselves or their kids, a little owie kit, but don't really plan for their dogs. Like, uh, can we go over kind of what you have in a kit, what you normally include?
Yeah. So I'll break out some basic stuff. We're not certified for CPR with the dogs, but we do classes every single year. So I have some notes that I take. I have literally like a pamphlet, so I can even go over some of that as well. But literally on my pack here
Oh, wow.
is little first aid kit for the dogs. My pamphlet, because I fill my brain with training majority of the time with the dogs, so I'm not going to remember everything medically for them. But anyways, it's great to have a little something to have a reference to go back to in case you're, on the fence of what it is you really need to do. A big thing that a lot of people don't think about, and I'm actually updating one right now because of Deacon being the younger dog and he continues to grow, but is some notes about, so Mike, you brought up, people don't think about even making something safe for the dog, but a lot of times what I feel people don't think about is if you're out hiking or something to that aspect and you go down, but your dog is still okay. So then what someone needs to do, who they need to contact. I have that stored away in my first aid kit. So that way it can be opened up and they can either call my wife, secondary contact. I have the dog's name in there. And I have 2 dogs so that, they need to know which one is either Echo or Deacon. And then they say if they are hurt as well, I have my vet's contact information on there. So I just have a list and just a little short document to go over everything. Say if I go down and the dog goes down, I don't know. I just think that's something that's very, very important that a lot of people miss, because if you're not there, a lot of time the dog is going to be super, super stressed out, and the dog is probably not going to be in its right state of mind if it knows that the handler, isn't okay at all. But anyways, just that was a quick little point that I was wanting to go over.
Yeah, that's good.
Back to some gear though. So I have some liquid bandage for little tears on their pads and things like that. Athletic tape. Now with the athletic tape though, you want to use a pre-wrap also, because the athletic tape is going to stick to fur. It's a pain in the butt to pull back off. So wrapping it in a pre-wrap, or even I was just using it a little while ago on Echo, but the vet wrap stuff or the self adhering ace bandage, the stuff works great. So like if the dogs tear up their stopper pads, that pad that's right above like their wrist, basically on their front legs, this is great. Echo has one tore right now, so that's literally why I have this out. Another thing, which it goes into the same thing with even human first aid also, but keeping yourself clean as well. Clean, if you're going to be taking care of wounds on the dogs, if they get a serious gash, hand sanitizer, keep yourself clean if you're going to be digging into the dog. So some gloves, cotton swabs. I have hand sanitizer in here, of course, too. Of course, some scissors, tweezers for ticks or thorns, things like that. A lot of this stuff is set up so you can take care of it while you're out on a trail, basically, because I hike a lot with my dogs. Thermometer, and make sure, if everyone knows how their dog's temperature is taken, you don't want to mix this thermometer up with the thermometer that you might use at home yourself. A lot of people, Warren and I was talking about this not too long ago, and it's actually very, very rare that you would actually use it. It needs to, just like with humans, first aid for dogs is very, very similar to the same exact thing you do with humans. So like say tourniquets, also you can use, just like you could cinch down a belt for a human, you can use anything for a tourniquet on a dog. But it's with them, you got to get it nice and high up onto the joint, or where their forelimbs and their hind legs are. But one cool thing that we've come across is, I believe it's called Matt T. I can't remember exactly, but it's a tourniquet that is like 4 inches. It's a rubber tourniquet that goes into like a lot of combat people carry it around too, opposed to even the regular tourniquet that has the twist on it. You can cinch it down. What's cool about the other one is it's like 36 inches long, and if this dog is super stressed out, is the excess that you cut off, you can also turn it into a muzzle, and it's nice and safe for the dog.
Oh, okay.
So you can wrap it around, and you obviously not too tight, so they can still breathe, of course. But that's the number one thing, is you want to make sure if you're getting chewed up by the dog, then you can't help the dog at all, and especially if the handler is knocked out by any means. But some other little things, some remedies that we keep in our stuff as well is colloidal silver. So we use it on topical cuts. It can be used internally as well to help fight infections. We have some just regular eye wash, just regular human eye wash too, in case the dogs get into anything. CBD is a really, really good thing. I mean, if you're out somewhere and the dog starts to have a seizure, Warren can attest to it. He's seen our vet literally calm seizures down very, very quickly with some CBD, and the dog was a-okay afterwards. Other basic things, I have my gauze to pack wounds and whatnot, alcohol prep pads, and then we also have the other stuff that's in my truck. It's more or less for, say, us in case, say, we have a super aggressive dog or something, but staple kit, staple remover to suture up things, iodine to clean wounds out, because you get bit by a dog, it gets super, super nasty too and gets infected. But I might jump around a little bit, but back to kind of taking care of their paws, some booties. So like, again, I'll bring up being out in the woods quite a bit, or even if you take your dog on the asphalt and it's been wintertime, you haven't been out a whole lot, and the dog tears its pad. It's like basically like a little blister on our feet. But these little booties are literally like $3, and they have a stretchy material on them that's just Velcro. It cinches down. It goes over top of the dog's stopper pad also, so it actually seats really, really well on the dog's foot. But that way, you get it cut out in the woods, whatever, out on the asphalt, wrap it up, place the booty over it. Now it's staying clean until you get home, and you can take care, clean the wound a little bit better, maybe see what else is going on.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Where do you get those at?
So it is literally dogbooties.com. And like I said, these are the they're the $3 ones. That's the best I can tell you. They have a lot of other booties that you can get. A lot of guys that run sled dogs, they use them, so they're taking care of their feet, because that's those dogs' number one tool whenever they're out running them on sleds and whatnot. But yeah, that's about the gist of it. Like I said, a lot of it I can use on myself also. But the most things, honestly, that I use that I think are the most important are some pre-wrap and athletic tape, or the self-adhesive gauze, and then something to take care of a wound out in the woods or wherever you may be. Because a lot of people, they'll try putting like Neosporin on a dog's wound. Don't do it. It's a waste of time. Neosporin's meant for the two-legged, not the four-legged at all. Or even like peroxide. So like peroxide, it's great for out in the field use, but it really doesn't, it's not the best thing to be cleaning wounds out, honestly, on dogs. I would more or less keep peroxide so I could induce vomiting in the dog in case there was some type of poison sitting out. I mean, there's some really, really crappy people in the world, and they'll literally put rat poison in dog food and set it out on another side of the fence. So little things like that, the quicker you can get them to vomit that up, safer your dog's going to be as well. But Warren, can you know if I missed anything at all?
Well, people do forget that they make this kit and they don't ever go through it ever again. They don't, see what's in it. Once they've updated and built their list or their kit, they forget about it.
Yeah.
So if you're working dog a lot, you'll be going through it and using it. But even if you just have the pet, you do things and you carry this around, you should still go through it and make sure nothing's leaked. And keep it fresh in your memory, because you never use it, you're going to forget about it. So you end up having this kit and you could have used it, and now you missed this opportunity. You could have helped your dog.
Yeah, like, so updating is real. Like my liquid bandage, I literally had to replace it because the seal cracked on top of the lid and literally spilled out. Luckily, I keep it in a Ziploc baggie, but just little things like that. Definitely, this is super cheap stuff too, and it can literally keep you from spending thousands of dollars of going to the vet, of spending maybe $150 on a little kit to have set up. And you can literally save your dog's life. And really quick, vital signs, things like capillary refill, things like that with dogs too, things that you can learn yourself to go over. And things are different also in like working dogs. So like Malinois, your Dutches, um, their like working heart rate and resting heart rate can be different just because their breed is a little bit more high strung, and it can go into literally like healers. It can go into all types of other working breeds. So you can read pamphlets just like this little pamphlet that I have, and it'll go over vital signs and everything. So that's cool. That gives you a basis, but you really need to know your dog's vital signs, because there's sometimes I've taken say one of my Dutches to the vet, and they've literally been like, oh no, like this dog's heart rate is super, super out of whack. And they've just never been exposed to working breeds literally at all. So those are some things to keep in mind. Luckily we have a very, very good relationship with our vet, and he knows that we know our dogs better than anybody else. So he really trusts us when we tell him that something's going on. He knows that we're not just BSing and we're not the average pet owners as well. But little quick thing that I think of, say taking the dog's heart rate. And again, you'll need to figure out what works for your dog, because it changes from large breed to small breed as well. Say those beats per minute that you're looking for, but you can just flip your dog over on its side, grab their right back thigh, and you should be able to place your fingers literally right. You'll be able to feel a little piece where your fingers will go inside of a little chunk of muscle, and then you'll be able to feel just that little bit of that heart rate right there. And just right side of the dog on their hind legs. I think some things you'll read, they'll say take the dog's elbow, you place it back, and it sits on like their like third or fourth rib, something like that. And that's always been a pain in the butt for me. I always have better luck grabbing the dog's rear hind leg. But capillary refill, you can test that on their gums. So, and you're just wanting to make sure, within 1 to 2 seconds that color is filling back in. But again, it can change from breed to breed, because there's some dogs that'll have super, super pink gums, and there's some dogs that'll have like really, really light pale colored gums. So this all literally goes back to really, really knowing your dog well, and what's
Right.
their normal. That is probably the biggest thing, is knowing what the normal is for them.
Check your dog when they're normal, not just when you think there's a problem. Then you won't know what
Exactly.
the baseline is.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm glad you even said that. So like, I want to know my dog, like when they're totally not stressed at all, and like what that normal is. And then I also want to know what their normal is. Like, say if we just finished up doing bite work or something like that, I know they're super, super jacked to the gills. I want to know what that heart rate is also, because if a dog that's done bite work numerous of times, it could have this same heart rate, but then it gets injured during bite work, whatever the case may be. Sure, you're going to be able to tell something like, hey, there's something maybe internally that's going on that we can't see on the outside at all. So just checking vital signs. It's literally just going over some stuff.
Yeah, not when it happens.
Yeah. Yep.
So you're used to it. Your dog used to you poking around on it, and you don't panic. You don't practice sometimes, a couple times a year. When your dog does get hurt, you're not going to know all this. You're going to panic, and your dog's not going to be used to touching it and messing with it. That's why you should practice it, checking all this stuff, its temperature, its, arteries, placing those little muscles that Joe was talking about. It's a couple different techniques, but if you don't practice this, you're not going to remember how to do it.
Right.
Remember it. You're going to freeze.
Yeah, and I mean it'll go back to they say this with the military and stuff all the time. You always revert back to how you were during training. So if you trained like crap, that's basically what you're gonna revert back to. I can't remember the it's like you try 5 times whenever you're doing like the breathing, doing CPR on dogs, and I've had to do it to a dog before. And right now, off the top of my head, I can't remember what that is at all. But when it needed to be done, because I have practiced it before, my training kicked in, and I was able to keep this dog alive until we were able to take it to the vet and get it checked out. But literally, I'm just the type of person. So there's sometimes with things like that, I'll just have a brain fart, but then I'll revert back to my training when it's actually needed. And it just clicks for me.
Right.
So I guess I'm pretty fortunate in that instance.
So um, with dogs, do you actually give them rescue breaths um, like you might in CPR?
Yes. So let me see here, because like I said, I have it's like 5 rescue breaths, and then if the dog has still showing no sign of breathing at all, then you'll start going into your compressions. And it's literally like the same. I know that they've changed the this, instead of using the "Staying Alive" song for humans, it's a different song now, I believe. But my cert for humans is up because I'm not well, I'm out of the Marine Corps now, so I haven't had to re up my cert. But everything is literally like how you do your compressions, the depth that you're going on the dog as well. Everything literally is the same. Besides, instead of going into the mouth, you're blowing into the nose. So you want to create a tight seal with that muzzle. Close their mouth as tightly as you can, and you're going to be raising their muzzle up, making sure you're not you're opening the airway and not closing their head or anything. And you blow in, see that chest rise, let it back out. And I'm pretty sure it's 5 times. And if there's still no breathing going on after that, then you start going into your compressions. And then your compressions are it's like 80 to 100 times per minute, something like that. But again, we really highly recommend just doing a basic first aid CPR class every single year, and that's what we do. We host it for our students. And, super cheap. It's like 10 or 15 bucks per
Really?
person, and you go home with. She gives you all types of pamphlets that you can keep and everything. It's really good setup, and send you home with some literature.
And if you live in an area that doesn't have someone that teaches first aid or pet CPR, you always just find around a vet in certain areas that'll do it, especially if it's a bigger city, or maybe you live in a smaller city. You get enough people together, you can't find someone that, like we're fortunate enough to have someone that teaches the first aid and the pet CPR, and Joe hosts that. And every year, because it's refresher, because you're not going to remember it if you only take it one time. You know, your dog get older and you've taken it when he was young, you're going to forget it.
Right.
So always ask.
That would be a good thing to check around and see if there's anybody around here offering pet CPR.
You'd be surprised. I mean, there are some that do it.
Yeah.
There's one more thing I actually wanted to hit on, and it goes for a lot of pet owners, especially because the weather's going to be changing here soon. It's getting a lot warmer. But dehydration in dogs. Dogs drink water when they're thirsty. They don't drink, say a gallon because they don't know that they're going to be going on a 5-mile hike or anything like that. So keeping water for the dogs is a big thing. But one of the biggest telltale signs of if you're out hiking with your dog is their tongue. You can look up pictures, but they'll be hanging their tongue out and it'll start to curl up just a little bit. So that'll be like your very first telltale sign, like, okay, I need to get the dog some water. That doesn't mean that they need a gallon of water, because the dog can get bloat from water the same exact way they can get bloat from ingesting too much food, running out and playing around too hard. So we use the pup cups that you can literally put on just the bottom of a Nalgene. I don't have one it's out in my truck right now, but if you just have your regular Nalgene, you can look them up on Amazon, and it sticks right to the bottom of it. But it's small enough that the dog can't intake way too much water. So now if you have another 2 miles to do on your hike, 3 miles, whatever the case may be, the dog isn't super bloated the entire time. You just give them a little bit, put it back up. I see it way too many times during training, and it's probably one of the worst things that you can do is let the dog just gulp away at the water, and then before you know it, they look like a balloon. Their stomach's all full, and I mean, I personally wouldn't let my dog work if they've ingested that much. It's way too dangerous. So
Right.
just another that's probably one of the most important things is, making sure the dog is definitely staying hydrated. My dogs always have access to water. That is one thing for sure. I'm making sure they always have.
You want to expand on something. You want to make sure that people like to give their dog ice water and stuff like that. But when it's hot like that and you're out training you to get them water, just room temperature water is fine. And you're going to make them throw it up. They're going to drink way too much and throw it up. And then on the tongue part also, to remember, when it curls up, they need water in them. If it's curled up and on the side like a taco. You know what I'm talking about?
Hmm.
And it's on them and in them. You get as much in them, and you better start pouring it on them. When it gets,
Okay.
I've only seen, I can probably count on one hand how many dogs actually had something wrong with their tongue that they did that no matter what, if it's the slightest bit of stress. But again, that's from them knowing their dog. But the tongue is a
He can stop it, buddy.
good sign that they need to read at their dog.
I know my dog, she's black, so she gets hot real easy in the sun. So I gotta take lots of breaks with her and make sure that she's drinking some water, and sometimes even have to put like ice cubes under her armpits if we've been out playing for a while and comes in it's really hot. But normally, yeah, she'll like the water. She'll like, we'll bring her in and get her in the tub if it's that bad, because she won't stop. Like when we're playing, she'll keep going and going, and then sometimes by the time I realize she's already kind of hit that point
Mm-hmm.
of overheating.
So you brought up a good thing. Warren hit on it too. But so another thing that I keep in here also to cool the dog down, externally, you roll them all. You use their belly, of course, but a towel. Literally, just this is a little, microfiber towel that I keep. And this is, I mean, you saw how small it was at first, and it folds up. But you take it, you get it wet, and spread this out in the entire length of the dog's body, because just like you don't want to shock the dog by any means. So a couple ice cubes and stuff isn't bad at all, but like you wouldn't want to take like a bucket of ice water and dump it on them by any means. Then you literally shock their entire system. You can make things much worse. So a towel, something like that, and just like crack it after you get it drenched, and so that way it gets a little bit of cool air moving through it, and it works beautifully to help cool that dog's body down at a safe rate.
That's a good idea. Now I'm making notes as you guys are talking. You got a lot of good info. So is your first aid kit for your dogs, is that separate from your personal one, or?
I try to, it's a combination of both, honestly, besides the one that stays in the truck that, is packed full, a little bit more, like the iodine gauze to clean out wounds and because we'll get some suits that are maybe on like their last end during bite work, and a dog will make it through one of the bite suits and we get opened up and we can take care of someone's arm during bite work. So that's about the only thing that I really keep separate. Is luckily my mother's a nurse, so she supplies me with a lot of the more high-end like suture kit, which she's taught me how to suture up wounds and things like that, how to properly use the staple gun and clean and pack wounds and whatnot. So that one is separate, but the one that I keep on my pack, it's a combination of both for two-legged and four-legged.
Oh, cool.
We don't recommend really to go out and buy a pre-made kit. You should just kind of customize it to the gear that you have, what fits you. That way you really know what's in it, and you buy what you need and not really a lot of stuff that you won't need. So to answer your question like that, it's just our own personal preference.
Right.
And knowing how to implement this stuff too. Like, I know not a lot of people know how to use a staple gun. It's used. I mean, I'll take that back. There is another, maybe someone shows up that does know how to use it. We do have some nurses that come to us for training and things like that. So I guess it's better to have it and than not have it by any means, but definitely train yourself on your own gear that you have. I mean, you don't want to always rely on someone else.
Right. And I know you touched on it a little bit, Joe, and Warren, when I was talking to you on the phone, you talked about making sure that you had either something you could use as a muzzle when you're working on your dogs.
Yeah. So you can, well, like I said, with that tourniquet, if you give me a sec, I'll look it up as I'm talking as well. But this one, super cheap, works out great. It's literally like $7 at the pet store. But this only works for say like about a 45 to maybe 60-pound dog. This won't fit on Deacon at all. On my 85-pound dog. But you can use a leash. Anything that's safe, that's not gonna close off that airway, is your biggest concern. The dog, if the body is going into some sort of shock, you don't want to stress them out even more. Think of not being able to catch your breath. It's a kind of a scary feeling. So if the dog is going into shock itself, and then they can't breathe, it can make matters much worse.
Right.
Give me 1 second though, and I can look up.
Well, it's
Yeah.
ideal to have one of those nylon ones that he has to carry, but a lot of times you just get out to go for a walk or something. All you got is your leash. So
Right.
you need to practice. There's a couple good ways to do it, that way your dog is used to it and you remember it. But he's, like you said about the nasal cavity, you got to be careful. You crush it. You're trying to make it too tight, but that's why you need to practice.
Mhm. The SWAT T. The SWAT T is
Okay.
one that a lot of military and law enforcement use it as well, because it's easy to pack away. But like I said, it's like 4 inches wide and like 36 inches long, and it's nice and stretchy. So something that'd be super easy to cinch down over the dog's mouth, and it'd be safe as well.
All right. Well, good. And what kind of leashes do you guys normally use?
So I'll let Warren take this one. He's old school. He doesn't like that stuff.
I only like leather.
Leather?
About 1 inch wide, quarter inch, or not a quarter inch, a half inch to 1 inch wide is what I like for a lead that I'm going to walk, stuff like that. Now, tracking wise, or we're doing this like that, I'll use a nylon, 1 inch wide nylon. But yeah, I just stick with leather, man. It's easier on my hands, and I like the weight.
Right.
So I use a couple different things. I do like some of the biothane, but I have ran across some that I'm not a big fan of. I've had a 30-foot tracking lead that was made out of a really thick biothane, and it wore the dogs out because it weighed so much, because the dog was literally pulling that much more weight. It cut their distance and their duration that they can track damn near in half. Now I do have a nylon one too. It's a Modern Icon leash. It's great. It has all these different clip-ins that you can use on it. You can tie it into a Swiss seat yourself and actually use it. I use the one that has a double snap on it. It's pretty versatile. So if you need to tie the dog out somewhere, just makes it really, really easy. And if you go to Modern Icon's site and check out their stuff, I mean, he's one of the only guys in the pet dog industry, the working dog industry, that literally actually test his equipment. He doesn't just say it's a 1,000 pound, brake strength. He has the results. He's literally tested everything. He does his buckles, his snaps, all that stuff. So for me, I do have some leather stuff as well, but like if I have a puppy, I'm going to use a really small, literally like half-inch biothane leash. And then as they start getting older, I'll start moving up as the dog starts getting older as well, but nothing bigger than 1 inch though, wide. And everything is usually 6 foot in length besides my tracking leads that I'll use. But my tracking lead, I like it to be the biothane. We do a lot of tracking in the woods, and it sucks really bad when a nylon lead picks up thorns and your dog takes off and it rips your hands up. Even having gloves on, your thorns make it right through mechanics gloves. So
Right.
my biothane, it's easy to keep dry. You just got to wear gloves if it does get wet, because it'll slide right through your hands. It's literally like it has slime on it if you don't have gloves on. But that's about it for leashes though for me.
All right. All right, then did you guys want to go over some of nutrition? I know you guys advocate raw feeding.
Yeah, Joe is the spokesman on raw here.
Hey, Warren, if you
Everybody asks him about raw, believe it or not.
Well, I'm gonna grab some stuff really quick out of the fridge, because I literally have a meal that I can kind of show the different portions and stuff. But Warren, if you don't care to give them a little down and dirty, and I'll grab some supplements and stuff really quick.
Yeah, he's
I know
actually
it's-
going to fine tune some of my raw. I'm more of an older school on how you do it. You know, raw is raw. But the method that he uses is it's just generally for everybody. He's kind of phasing me off into that with my dogs. I don't have any issues. I've never had any issues with raw in regards to what he feeds. And he's the one that gives the classes when it comes to raw. We offer those once a year also, and he hosts them, and because we're big advocates of that.
And I know you guys have a video up. I don't know if it's on,
On YouTube.
yeah, is it on both of your channels or?
I think it's just on Kentucky Working Dogs.
Okay. I'll include a link below on that so people can check that
We
out.
just kind of showed the big picture because it doesn't take long. People are kind of scared of it because they don't know and they hear all this bad stuff. That's why we like to show them. But, I mean, nobody wants to watch a raw feeding class one bowl at a time, but we kind of narrowed it down to see how it went.
Right.
All right, man. I'm ready if you're good, Warren.
Yep. Right.
All right. So our model is based off what's called, if you look up raw feeding, it's the 80-10-10 model. So 80% protein, which is the meat that they're going to be consuming, 10% meat, and 10% 10% organ and 10% bone as well. So you got your 80% of the protein source that they're getting, then their 10% of the organ meat, which is going to consist of heart, liver, kidney, lung, spleen. Well, they need it all. They need it all. And then your bone content. So like in this bowl, but I'll kind of try to show different little portions of it. But this is a turkey neck, which doesn't have a whole lot of meat on it, but it has the bone of the neck in it. I have some venison in here as well. You want meats that are super rich in fat. You don't want a lot of lean meats. The dogs need a lot more fat content, or a larger fat content than we take as the two-legged. I have some tripe that's in here as well. There's some beef heart, some beef liver, and beef kidney also. But all the people that we get from, it's all ground up, so we can portion it out what we feel that works for our dogs. So how I prep my meals is I do all the necessities first. So this is their bone content, this is their organ content, and then say if I'm wanting to throw in a little bit different protein source like the venison, or like I have some ground up lamb in here also. That makes up what I consider like their needs of what they're actually needing for that dog's weight and what I see that's working, or with them, judging things off their stool also. Now the rest of this is all just ground up beef. So this is Deacon's meal here. He eats like 3 pounds of meat a day. And that's what works for him based off of his stool and everything. So we'll prep all these meals. I have a separate freezer for it, and I'll prep everything. I'll cover this with aluminum foil, and whenever I need to feed it to the dogs, I'll set it out in the morning, and then they're good to go. Majority of the time, your average pet dog, this is all that they need. If you're not working them super hard, 4 to 5 days a week, you will hit everything. You should not need to supplement unless there is some type of health issue. That's realistically the only time you need to supplement, unless you're just working the dog snot out of the dogs. So there are a couple things that we use for supplements, but again, a lot of it are things that we will make ourselves. So this is a golden paste. Turmeric is the main thing in it. And if anybody needs this at all, just message us. We'll share recipes. It's not a big deal at all, but that helps out tremendously with inflammation and lubing up those joints. It really helps if your dog has any type of orthopedic issues. It's not the end all be all, but it can definitely help with some pain. Back to kind of hydration, give them some electrolytes as well, twice a week or whenever we're going to be working them. And then we also use another just vitamin, multivitamin for the dogs too, just in case if we feel like we're missing something. Because as the dogs get older, we're advocates that we know our dogs really, really well. So I can literally look at my dog's stool and tell and see whatever it's missing in there, what I need to add more of, or literally just their workability for the day too. So you get dogs that are eating grass or eating goose poop and things like that they're trying to outsource something that their body is missing. So those are just some basic telltale signs. Warren, did you have
I was
something?
having some audio here with the kids. I couldn't
Oh,
hear
gotcha.
that last end.
Gotcha. I'm going to wash my hands really quick.
All right.
What's some about the turmeric paste that he makes and stuff like that? Some are, until they get used to it new, we do recommend that they take the turmeric peel by itself.
Mhm.
You know, buy the supplement itself and take it. Daily, it's easier to give it to the dog. Just put it in there and close its mouth and rub its neck and then swallow the pill just like that.
Right. Now, do you advocate the golden paste instead of, like, I give a couple of my dogs glucosamine, and then well, basically the only supplements that I use is glucosamine for two of them, the oldest two, and then I give one of them CBD oil, and then for my St. Bernard English Mastiff mix, I give probiotics because she tends to be pretty gassy.
Well, the turmeric is the go-to, his paste that he makes, you know, but you can also, we are big on the CBD. We're not going to mix this, you know, we don't mix, you don't mix the CBD with your paste, do you?
No. I'll give the
I give
CBD.
it separate.
Yeah. That the golden paste I probably give 3 to 4 times a week. Something I just mix it right. It goes on almost like butter. So I just scoop or get it out with a butter knife and spread it over top of the dog's food. It takes a couple weeks for their body. Like the biggest thing is absorption. So whenever you can't just give regular turmeric, the dog's body won't absorb it at all. They will literally shit it out. You'll be able to see it in their stool afterwards. So it's a mix in there with fresh ground black pepper, which really, really helps with absorption with the dog. And then there's coconut oil, and then we do some Ceylon cinnamon as well, which is an immune system booster and helps fight bad bacteria and whatnot. But I can't really speak too much on the glucosamine at all. I've tried to. Our vet is a holistic vet, so any approach that we've literally done, it's always been something that either we've kind of made with them, or some little tricks like the CBD. You know, that's one thing that he's really, really recommended to us as well. And I had a dog with hip dysplasia, and for about 2 years we were giving him CBD, and he got to live, you know, the rest of those 2 years with a pretty good quality of life. And his spirits changed literally as soon as we put him on CBD. Like, it was pretty drastic of how much it actually started helping him until we had to make the call. But CBD is great, and he was also on the golden paste as well. Those were the two things that we found were super, super beneficial for him.
Right.
And if you look into the isolate for the CBD, you can adjust it according to your dog a lot better, especially if it has an injury.
Right. I know, talking with Alex back probably a year or so ago, he was the one that kind of turned me on to the CBD, buying the isolate and mixing it up. And now I think he makes and sells the mix, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a little guru.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got that. Yeah, I might try that golden paste. I might hit you up for the recipe.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing that I forgot to mention that we use is you'll read on the internet. You can't believe everything you read on the internet, but that garlic is bad for dogs. It can be if they eat literally like their weight in garlic. It can definitely cause some major issues. But in like say an 80-pound dog, a clove a day will actually help boost the dog's immune system. Not to mention, will help boost their immune system, but it helps deter fleas, ticks, and mosquitoes as well.
Yeah.
It makes the blood taste bitter. So it's one thing I add during, I really feed during the summer months for insect repellent on the dogs. So I mince it up right before a meal. So like whenever we're done with this, I'm going to be mincing up some garlic and spreading it on top of that food for Deacon and Echo to eat. Now that again, it takes absorption is the biggest thing with dogs. So once you get it into their system, then you could cut back and maybe just feed a clove every other day because all you got to do is maintain after it gets into their system. If that makes sense.
All right, well, cool.
And it's the most potent when you first cut it up and
Yeah.
mince it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just, some people just try to only cut it a little bit, small, try to give them the whole damn thing at once. You just mince it up and break it all up. That's what makes it the most potent right when it's first done.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Usually don't like it either. It's pretty,
Yeah.
it's spicy. So you have to disguise it for sure.
All right. Well, I got some questions here from Brad Holland. Yes, how did you guys find the right balance with dog training and personal life?
Warren, you want to take that?
Oh, yeah, I got all the kids. I don't know, man. You just make it work. You just on your free time. You don't realize how much. Yes, you got a big busy family, got a lot of kids, but there's, I do have some free time, and I want to expose my kids and family to what it's like to have a dog that behaves and to be a part of the family, and just not, a stuffed animal that, just breathes and eats and poops and that's it.
Right.
We're active with our dogs, we do things, and I want them to enjoy it as much as I do. But, I just have to make time for it, just like you do with your family. Sometimes it can be a pain in the butt. It's raining, or I got to get up a little bit earlier and go walk, or I got to do it at night, or I got some free time. To me, I enjoy it. It's just, I don't make it overwhelming, and so that's how I manage it.
I usually like the first year is a very important to me. Of like whenever I have a puppy, I want to make sure I'm exposing this dog and making them as well rounded as I possibly can. And again, we talk about getting to a part where training is just kind of ongoing and it's just a part of life. So whenever I have a puppy and we're doing basic things like healing or whatever it may be, I'm already showing this dog and integrating them into going out to go get groceries with, to the car, or making them sit and stay at the back door. I start integrating it into my daily routines. I'm brushing my teeth and I'll have the bathroom door open. I put my dogs in a sit stay or a down stay. That's not their life at home, but I'm like the first year, that's kind of how it is until the dogs start getting into a routine as well. And then they start earning a little bit more freedom too. So you set boundaries and rules, and then you get to have the reward of this dog that's very well trained. So the first year usually sucks. You got to crank out a lot.
Yeah, it does. The first year is horrible.
Yeah, you crank out a lot. But again, I say that it sucks just because it's a lot of work, and to the average person, they're like, man, like they're not used to it. This isn't the same thing, but it's the same exact way as having a little toddler. You get a toddler at first, you're watching their every second that they're awake, that they're not stuffing crayons in their mouth or knocking the bleach over and accidentally just all those little things until they learn, and then they get to the point where they can manage themselves basically, and they know how to function. So that's the biggest thing. There's light at the end of the tunnel after the first year of it, but the best thing is how you can just start making everything. This dog needs to learn how to function with. I don't adjust to the dog. The dog needs to adjust to my life. And and how I function as a human. Don't get me wrong, I make sure my dogs get exercise. I'm not just going to be a lazy turd and not do anything with the dogs at all and say, well, I'm lazy. Guess what? The dog's going to be lazy. That's not what I mean. But I just try to teach the dog, I may run with a previous dog. I used to run like 5 miles two days a week. He started to get into a routine of that. So I would take a break for a little bit and we wouldn't run as much. So I could tell a couple days he would be anticipating he was wanting to go run. So just kind of finding that balance, I feel like, of what Brad's probably asking you. You just try to get the dog as well rounded as you can and get them to be a part of the family and your everyday functioning life. That's where you want to get to. And then it's smooth sailing.
All right, cool. And he also asked, what is your professional opinion of Carol Baskins?
She did it.
She did it for sure, man. She did it.
On a more serious note, what is one item that most people don't know that you keep in your packs?
They don't know. Well, like dog training gear wise, or like first aid gear.
I guess kind of anything.
So
That most people don't carry.
Yeah, or don't know that you carry. Or
I would say it's honestly probably the booties is the one. Like I know we just went over it, but that's probably one of the most uncommon things that I feel like sometimes people don't think about. But I've just had to deal with so many paw injuries and things like that. But usually someone doesn't whip out a pair of shoes for dogs.
You stumped me on that one.
Yeah, that's probably I'm looking at my pack now and even kind of. Yeah, I'd say that, or no, this isn't necessarily my pack, but this is a good thing that I think a lot of people don't think about. Whenever you're traveling with your dog, our dogs travel in crates in the back of the vehicles when we're doing long distance travels and things like that. We make sure we take breaks for them, but some vinegar to clean up accidents in a spray bottle. So it won't harm the dogs at all, and keeping a few extra towels. It never fails. We'll be out tracking or something like that, and it starts piss pouring rain, and I'm the only one or something like that's drying all my gear off with towels. They're like, oh shit, I didn't think about that. Or even being able to dry the dog off, getting inside of the vehicle, because my dog's traveling crates, it's not too big of a deal. But someone's dog that travels in the car and they're all muddy, that sucks really, really bad. The dog shakes inside of the vehicle, and now you should wipe it.
We all carry, to us it's normal. We carry towels, paper towels, and dry them off in case there's an distilled vinegar and spray ball in case there's an accident.
Another cool tool that Rob actually got me, Rob Martin, but it's a portable like shower bucket. So it's your regular 5-gallon bucket, and it's a battery operated shower head with a hose. So we can, if the dogs get super muddy on a really, really nasty day, I can hose my dogs off before getting their crates all nasty and everything. So that's a pretty good tool that I just thought about too. So those are some things that, keeping in the truck with me at all times. So that helps out quite a bit.
Oh, cool.
I'm going to flip on this other light and see if it helps at all. And hopefully it doesn't. It's not too.
Yours is lighting, mine's a little bit of audio.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you guys hopping on here and talking with me about this stuff. I think it would be cool to do another session here in the future. Maybe talk about more training, maybe training tips or things like that.
Sure. Anytime you want us to.
Yeah, this has been pretty awesome.
Yeah, so thanks for coming on. I think we'll call it a day, and I'll let you feed your dogs and
We're chase kids right now because they're all running around like maniacs. They're all here trying to call my dog while I'm over here to listen to you.
Well, yeah, I'll upload this to YouTube right after.
Okay.
But thanks again for hopping on, and
yeah,
thanks for having us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a good one.
You too.